everyone, Jared with Second Life Design. Today we are talking about live edge slab storage within a small shop. This has been a project that's been a long time coming. I'm probably over 3,000 board feet of slabs right now, and to some people that's a lot, some people that's not a lot. That's a lot to me. I operate on a 1/4 acre property in the middle of town, and I'm in a 24 by 30 garage. That is my workshop, that is my garage, so it's a storage space for the lawnmower and yard tools, things of that nature. So it's not purely shop space, but I want to get as many slabs in as possible, and it's been a long time of trying to come up with the best way of doing that. I think I have a good plan about it now, but it's kind of, anyone who's done some major shop remodeling knows how much time it takes to kind of shuffle all the pieces around and make that work, and then adding into making that work with just regular life, and of jobs and trips, vacations, things of that nature. It takes some time to get all that done. So this has been a long time coming. It's going to be a continued process for a while. I'm nowhere near done, but I'm getting to where I like the direction I'm going, and I want to kind of share my progress, where I'm at right now, and kind of my thinking behind it, and hopefully that'll help some other people out. I know not everybody has the space I have, so you may think that, yeah, I would love to have a shop your size. That's huge. Well, yes, but to someone else, this is very small. So I'm used to working in a larger production facility that has a lot of square footage. So I'm in a small footprint now, especially considering how many slabs I have and how many I want to get inside so they can be fully dried. The idea behind this is they're all most of them are behind me right now. And the idea is clients could come over and pick things, or someone else, someone who wants to buy slabs could come over and pick things, and they're easier to flip through than the vertical stacks going upwards. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. I'm going to show you how I kind of separated these out. This is probably the part 1 video. There's going to be a part 2 for sure, so hit the subscribe button and check that out when it comes up. But kind of follow along and see if you can get any ideas. If you have any questions, drop them down below. Okay, we're going to start with kind of a scrolling picture here, video of what I've got so far. This is the beginnings of the lumber library. So right now this is the long dimension of my garage. This is the 30-foot length. So this is my front corner, has all the common stuff, the chainsaw goodies, the drop cords, yard things, stuff I use all the time. And here is where the slabs are starting. So I've got these dividers made of 2x4s. I'll get a better shot of those in a second. Just kind of separating everything out. Those are going along with the roof rafters, so that's where those are tying into. But I've got a good kind of system here of how these are all divided, where this is one whole tree. This one right here, this is one whole log. And I've got some barnwood things over here, and continuing all the way down, this whole 30 feet. By stacking these vertically, I'm getting a much smaller footprint than if I were to have these laying down on their side. That's how I traditionally store them when I want to dry things, but these are closer to being done. Some of these are ready to go, and I just need to get more bulk capacity. Previously, I had a really long bench along this whole wall, and it was just a catch-all for crap. Any horizontal surface is just going to catch junk. That's what it's going to do. That's the way it is for me, at least. I don't have a good system like that. I'm not super organized, so I need to remove horizontal surfaces. They just catch crap, and I don't need any more of that around here. So this is what I've been used to with this long section all tied up here. You see we have some bigger slabs down here and different stuff along there. Let me move this around. Bear with me here. So this is getting into some bigger slabs. That is some more slabs right there. Got some bigger maple, and on down right here. So this is kind of the library feel to it, where we have the vertical stacks of things, and I can flip through these, kind of sort through them, take rough dimensions on them. They're loose enough. I can reach in and measure. If someone's asking for something, I can get an idea of what I have. I've got things separated by species somewhat. So far this is working out really well. It's not taking up a lot of space. Nothing is sticking out more than what my big workbenches were previously, so I'm using the full height is where it's coming into play. That's what the benefit of it is here. So let me get repositioned, show you the empty bunks and then how I fill them, and that'll make more sense then in a second. Okay, So these last two bunks, this is what's going to fill up this one wall. I can't go any further. I have a heater over here, and I don't want to get any closer to it for fire safety and such. This is just scrap wood. I bought some 2x4s for this, but this is the last remnants of the big workbench that was here, and I'm trying to just reutilize that. I don't know that these need to go down this far. It's kind of handy for shorter things to lean up against, but there's not a ton of pressure on these whenever, even if there's slabs leaning against them, because they're going to be up really tall generally, and they're standing up vertically, so there's very little weight going on them. You know, the slabs themselves are heavy, but they're barely leaning over, so there's not a ton of weight on them. And in some cases, there's slabs going against each other, so they're kind of canceling out. So there's not really, I posted a picture of this on Instagram, and someone asked about kind of structural problems with this, and it's not really affecting the structure at all, in my mind. You know, somebody could say otherwise, but you're not really pulling on anything, you're not pushing, they're counteracting each other, and it's minimal amount of load on what these are being utilized. So it's where this is nice for me is it's utilizing the full vertical space. That's where the big difference between storing these horizontally versus vertically. So, you know, these are 21, 22 inches wide, kind of depending on which side of the rafter I'm on, and I've got 20 feet of 20 linear feet of wall taken up, but I've got a lot of slabs, a lot of storage in here, and it's easier to flip through everything. So this is all scrap wood. This is the remnants of my last big workbench, and that's just kind of what I came up with. This could be altered. These could go all the way to the floor. They could go halfway up the other way. Whatever works for you and your situation. So I have a stack that I'm going to load both of these up here. Let me get a picture of that, and that might make more sense as far as what I'm talking about with the square footage of what they're occupying here. Okay, so this stack of slabs, there's two different trees here. We have some red oak here. This is some elm, some red elm, and yeah, this stack is great. It looks perfect. They're drying really well. Problem is, it is 32 inches across and about 7 feet long. We'll call that 3 foot by 7 foot. That's 21 square feet of a 720 square foot garage that is being occupied and not being utilized. It is, we have a lot of space going vertical that is not being used. I can't work here. I can't do anything else here. If I were to stack these vertically, I'm going to be using the 32 inches this way and 3 inches that way. So that's a much smaller smaller footprint, and I can utilize this space for other things, and that is the whole beauty behind this system. It's going to work really well. I'll be able to get a lot of things in here. I can get more slabs inside, so I can continue to dry things. Any person who does a lot of the slabbing or milling or whatever will tell you that the dry time is what kills you. It's, getting the material is one thing, that's fine, and cutting it's a whole is not bad. Drying time is where your big slowdown is. So this stuff is pretty close to being ready to use, but it's still taking up space, and I can't put it outside, so I need to make it an efficient use of it inside. So I'm gonna get these moved around. I'll get them loaded in those two bunks I just showed you, and yeah, we'll kind of do some numbers after, and then kind of talk about the plan going forward. Okay, got them all loaded up and looking nice. So I've got all these slabs filled in here, all drying beautifully, all easily accessible, easy to see. I've got some more room for some other pieces to kind of tuck into places, but everything's kind of sorted by species, by log, by when I got them. I catalog a lot of stuff on my Instagram, actually, so that's why I take so many pictures, so I can have an easy reference of when I milled things, when I cut them down, and what have you. So this will be pretty slick. Each one of these red oak slabs are 12-quarter, 30-inch medium width, 7 feet long. They're 250 pounds each probably, and they're easily, you can flip this from one side to the other with one hand. So not a lot of pressure leaning on the building. I know that was a concern for people, but I'm not worried about it, and yeah, it works really well, so pretty happy with it. Okay, so that's gonna be the end of part one. My shop, is 24 by 30, like I said. It's also very short. I don't have a full 8 feet even to the roof rafters, so that is the next issue of how do you go things that are longer, and I'm going to show how I work on that in part two. I'm sure I've repeated myself a lot, and I'm sure there's people that were thinking of, yeah, dummy, this is very obvious. You reduce the footprint, and you're gonna have a lot more space. And it's an easy concept, but it's a little bit harder to think about how to put it into practice. And it takes doing an entire shop remodel to make it all happen. So it's something that is easy to say, but harder to put into use. I think this same theory can be applied to a lot of things within the shop. I'm sure a lot of people have heard the argument of shelves versus drawers as far as shop storage. If you have a drawer, it's only so tall, so you only fit so many things in it. If you have big shelves, if something's very short, you have a lot of space above it. So it's a lot of wasted space. So a simpler way would be thinking, if you put a pizza box in your refrigerator, it's taking up that big, huge shelf, and nothing can really go above it. You can't stack anything on top of it. So that's kind of if that makes it simpler, in simpler terms like that, of how can you break this down, how can you store it differently to take away the footprint. That's what we're going for. So part 2 is going to be talking about how to do taller slabs, how to do bigger slabs, and I will get to that as I can. As I said, there's a shop remodel going on at the same time while we're doing this, so it takes a little bit of effort. We're swapping tools out, moving table saws and maybe getting different saws. So I gotta, there's a lot of pieces getting shuffled around this time, but there will be a part 2. Hopefully part 1 helped. If you have any questions, drop them down below. You can also send me questions on Instagram at Second Life Design. I respond to those a lot quicker. It's not always easy to see the comments on here. So, yeah, anything else, let me know.